evening, councillors. Gallery, thank you for coming for this extraordinary meeting. Acknowledgement of country. The City of Ryde acknowledges and pays respects to many Aboriginal clans on whose traditional lands this city is located and this meeting is being held. Code of Conduct Statement. Standards for appropriate behaviour and sanctions for misbehaviour at meetings. Councillors and staff should be aware of the provisions of the Code of Conduct in regards to these matters. Council staff and the public are reminded that this meeting is being recorded on audio tape for minute-taking purposes as authorised by the Local Government Act 1993, and the meeting is also webcast through Council's website. In absence of clergy, let me read the following prayer submitted by Reverend Ray Walder of St James Presbyterian Church in Bowden Street, Ryde. Let's pray. Almighty God, we bow before you and acknowledge you as creator and ruler over all nations of people, all communities, families and individuals. We seek your blessing at this time on this community in which we exercise authority. Grant that we may do so with a genuine sense of responsibility and dedication, and serve God and humankind to the best of our ability. Guide us in our deliberations this night, that the affairs of this council may be attended to in a spirit of wisdom and service. And we ask it in your name. Amen. Please be seated. Councillors, I received an apology from Councillor Maggio, but I see he's here tonight. We have no further apologies. Leave of absence, Councillor Silvestro Martin, he's here tonight. Are there any disclosures of interest? Sorry, and Councillor Pendleton's here as well. Any disclosures of interest? None. Tabling of petitions? No. There's no public participation. So I guess we move straight to item 1, councillors. Notice of motion to alter the previous council resolution. Councillor Pickering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Seconder, please. Councillor Maggio.
I wish to move notice of motion 1. It's self-explanatory. If necessary, I'll certainly exercise a right of reply, but I doubt that it will be. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Pickering. There's no further debate. Please vote.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Simon.
Has it been seconded?
Councillor Maggio.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for calling the meeting tonight, and thank you to those councillors for calling this extraordinary meeting. I am kind of confused about why we're here. We literally debated this matter at the last council meeting and scheduled a meeting date for the 27th of September for this mayoral election. And now, while I've got the microphone, Mr. Mayor, I would like to congratulate Councillor Chung for his election to City of Sydney Council on Saturday. Congratulations, Councillor Chung. Well done. While most of us were representing the community of Ryde over the last few months, Councillor Chung, of course, has been out handing out leaflets in the City of Sydney, calling.
Yes, what's your point of order, Councillor Maggio?
You need to respect Councillor Chung. He doesn't have to resign his position of City of Ryde, and I respect what he's doing. He's got constituents in the City of Sydney and City of Ryde. I think it's below the point by Councillor Simon.
I think he's just stating fact, Councillor Maggio. I don't see the... he just congratulated him, Councillor Maggio. Would you like me to withdraw the congratulation?
You need to listen.
I did listen. He can just congratulate. There's no point of order.
Mr. Mayor, this meeting has been brought forward because the Liberal Party is playing politics with the City of Ryde. Councillor Chung should not be in this room, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Chung is now an elected councillor of the City of Sydney. He is going to vote tonight, Mr. Mayor, on who will be the next mayor of Ryde, and then take off and take up his cushy job with his business mates in the City of Sydney. I think that is outrageous. That is an absolute outrage, and people here should know what the game is. The game is that the Liberal Party has decided to use dirty tricks to try and knock you off, Mr. Mayor, because to be frank, you're the best advocate the City of Ryde has had since the last Labor mayor. The truth is, Mr. Mayor, they are so upset. They are so upset that you have been, as the mayor of Ryde, advocating for this city, calling out the state government from when they're doing the wrong thing, that they are willing to stoop to such lows that they will allow a councillor who literally will sit on another council in the next couple of weeks to determine who the next mayor of Ryde is. I think that is outrageous, Mr. Mayor. I think the councillors here who made a decision just on 2 weeks ago that we should have the mayoral meeting on the 27th and elect the mayor at that date should stick to that decision. And I think that Councillor Chung, Mr Mayor, ought to take a good hard look at himself. He'll have between now and the 27th, if we defeat this resolution, to consider where it is he actually stands and who it is he actually stands for. Does he stand for Ryde or does he stand for the City of Sydney? Because he sure as hell can't stand for both. Encourage councillors to defeat this resolution, to have the normal process that we agreed on at the last meeting, and for Councillor Chung to finally resign his position now that he's been elected to City of Sydney Council and go and hang out with his mates in the City of Sydney because he's determined to abandon Ryde, and he shouldn't leave them with the legacy of having a Liberal mayor in this city.
Thank you, Councillor Simon. Councillor Udallian.
Yeah, question through you to our acting general manager. I think you circulated a circular about councillors sitting on both two councils. That's one question. Please clarify that. The second one, is the City of Sydney election been declared by the returning officer? I didn't hear it was declared. I heard it on the news that Councillor Chung was elected. Congratulations, by the way. You deserve to be a councillor of the great city as well as Ryde great city. If you have a business there, you have to serve those businesses as well. Just clarification through you.
Mr Mayor, councillors, first of all, as you indicate, the first question, a councillor can stand for two councils and be elected on two councils and sit on two councils and doesn't have to resign from either of those positions. And as I understand it, today, as per the count, Councillor Chung has been elected. However, the declaration of the poll for Sydney City hasn't been formally declared. That's my understanding of the status of the election at Sydney City.
Thank you.
Councillor Pickering, with your right to reply.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I'm actually quite amused that Councillor Simon is referring to the Dirty Tricks book. This council's been subject to a number of things like trying to ban the Granny Smith Festival Queen competition, and he was rightly put in his place by a young lady who advocated very strongly that that competition continue. Then we have motions like let's get behind the Australian Republican movement and give money to that. Nothing to do with local government, of course. And then I think the latest thing is that he wanted to look at getting behind same-sex marriage, a very divisive issue that has nothing at all to do with local government. So, you know what? Not necessarily dirty tricks, but silly things that we'd rather not have to deal with at local government because we have no authority to deal with those things. Now, let's actually look at the reality here. Councillor Simon, can you honestly say you live in Ryde at present? Do you live in Ryde? That is a question for you. You can answer a simple yes or no. I'm sure that even you are capable of that. Well, put it this way, Councillor Simon, I won't allow you to address that because I know you don't. And I know that you haven't lived here. So, for you to hypocritically, look, we know the truth. For you to say that you're representing Ryde when you don't even live here is a bit hypocritical. Now, Councillor Chung, you only need to nod. Do you live in Ryde? Thank you. I think, here you are, you have a councillor who actually lives here, has a business here, and I also congratulate you, Councillor Chung, and I'm waiting for the declaration, and you have done well, and you deserve the success you have. But you are a resident of Ryde, you are not. So let's talk about reality. Okay, I could keep going, but you know what? You got a date, okay.
No one believes that, Roy.
But I just want everyone here to be aware of the facts here. I mean, you know, this is the pot calling the kettle black. So, Mr Mayor, it's obvious we want to deal with this issue. You don't deserve 12 and a half months. You deserve 12 months like every mayor because you were elected for 12 months. It's a simple fact of life. So, the motion is there. I asked everyone to support it. Thank you.
councillors. Councillors, as we move into... That's carried, yep. So there's a further motion to hold the mayoral election, is that correct? That's what I'm being informed.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
So the election of mayor and deputy mayor, and you got that motion on the screen? Okay, moved. Councillor Pickering, seconded. Councillor Maggio. No debate. Please vote. Okay, that's carried. And we now go to item 2, which is the election of the mayor. Recommendation that council determine the method of voting.
Mr. Mayor, I should actually...
You should do that? Okay, so I'll give one. All right, sure. Just as we move into the mayoral election, councillors, it's standard practice. I'd like to give some closing remarks and reflections over the past 12 and a half months, Councillor Pickering. And let me first start by saying it's been a real honour and a privilege to serve the City of Ryde as mayor. Looking at the board outside, there aren't many names on it, and to be one of those on there is still a little bit surreal. 12 months ago, I was handed a gift, and I'd like to think that I took full advantage of it. To the staff at the City of Ryde, thank you for your guidance and advice. We've achieved a lot in this past year. Councillors, thanks for your support. It was a real team effort to get me here, and I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity. To the men and women and children of Ryde, thank you for having faith in a young and energetic mayor. I went to many events, and there was always one person who would at least say, "You're very young to be mayor," or "You don't look what normal mayors look like," and I took that as compliments. 12 months have been defined by the action of the government. We've had an undemocratic push to amalgamate Ryde, and that push has had a reach in almost every decision I've had to make as mayor. From staffing issues to office fit-outs to council resolutions, this push to fiddle with local democracy has been more than a distraction, and I believe it's been a weight around our necks. I've had comments from business groups, the education sector, volunteers, people from all walks of life across our community that the uncertainty generated by this amalgamation process has been bad for our city. When elected, former General Manager Gail Connolly named me the 90-day mayor. Everyone was expecting Ryde to be merged in late 2015. Well, as it turns out, and I did the maths, Councillor Pickering, I'm here today as the 374-day mayor, and I couldn't be prouder of what we've been able to achieve despite these distractions. I had a quick glance at my acceptance speech last year, and I'm pleased to say that I've ticked everything off that I wanted to fix. I said my focus would be on childcare, open space, and affordable housing, and on all these 3 areas we've delivered. On childcare, we've resolved to rewrite some rules, changing how we do things and making more space available for childcare providers to set up in our city. On open space, work has commenced on our first ever synthetic field in Ryde. Our program to modernise ELS Hall 1 and the 2 fields at Christie Park is one of the biggest and boldest capital expenditures on sports facilities in our city's history, and I'm proud to say that happened under my watch. On affordable housing, we've adopted a progressive, inclusive and visionary policy unmatched by any other council in New South Wales. We came together as a council, we had a sensible discussion and recognised that the market failed our most needy citizens and key workers. Instead of passing the buck, we did what good governments do, we stepped in and intervened. Our policy, which mandates that developers must provide housing stock to council, will provide over 600 affordable rental dwellings by 2031. And we've achieved more. Nighttime economy study will help transform Macquarie Park from a business park to a modern and vibrant innovation and entertainment district that it deserves to be. Our advocacy on planning issues has helped save key recreational space at Blenheim Park. And while we may disagree on this one, our public debates in this forum on the future of Eastwood Oval have brought our community together to help save it. We have worked closely with business community to help provide jobs for locals. Citizens of Ryde working in Ryde results in less congestion and, most importantly, more time with family and friends. More jobs in Ryde makes our city a better place to live. We've managed to somehow inject even more life into our most vibrant town centre, Eastwood, with the commencement of 2 night markets providing a safe and fun venue for families to go every weekend. All these achievements over the past year wouldn't have been possible if we're not working together. And this year could have been chaos, with the potential for the dreaded lame duck mayor. But despite only having 2 votes on council, I'm proud to say that Labor's been able to work with everyone to achieve the best for our city. For all our faults, and we've got a few, local government in Ryde has always had and always will have a place in making our city a better place to live. The role of mayor is very important, and hopefully I've proven that hard work and pragmatism, rather than politics, are the best way to achieve results. I'd encourage whomever my successor is to work hard when holding this office. Ryde is a proud city. We have so much history and so much potential. So in the days, weeks or months that we have left, don't waste the opportunity that you're about to be given. Thank you, councillors.
Councillors, ladies and gentlemen in the gallery, item 2 is for the election of mayor for the ensuing 12 months. The item outlines the council needs to determine the method of voting, either either open voting, which is either electronic voting system or show of hands, an ordinary ballot. Number of nominations will determine the number of counts to be undertaken under that method, and preferential ballot. So I'm asking councillors to move and a seconder for the recommendation and determine the method of voting.
Open.
By show of hands.
Yeah. I'll second that. Show of hands.
So it's been moved Councillor Udelian, seconded Councillor Pickering, that motion. Are there any speakers, any amendments? Otherwise I'll put that motion to the council. Or please vote. Councillors, members of the gallery, I have 2 nominations for the office of mayor. Councillor Bill Pickering, been nominated by Councillor Stott and Councillor Maggio. Do you wish to stand? Do you accept that nomination? Yes, Mr. And I have a nomination for Councillor Jerome Laxale, nominated by Councillor Simon and Councillor Pendleton. Do you wish to stand? Accepted. Are there any further nominations for the position of mayor? Declare the nominations closed. I'll therefore, by show of hands, ask those councillors wishing to vote for Councillor Pickering. Please show your hands. Can you please hold up your hands while we count? 1, 2, I have Councillors Pickering, Udelian, Stott, Maggio, Silvestro, Martin, Chung and Eppington, a total of 7 votes. Thank you. For those councillors wishing to vote for Councillor Laxale, will you please put your hands up, please? Councillor Lee. Thank you. I have Councillors Lee, Pendleton, Laxale, Simon and Perham, a total of 5 votes. Therefore, I declare Councillor Pickering elected as the City of Ryde Mayor. Congratulations.
Councillors, General Manager and staff, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great privilege to be elected for a second term as Mayor of the City of Ryde, and I would sincerely like to thank members of my Liberal team who are all here tonight for their support, and most importantly thank Independent Councillor Jeff Silvestro Martin. This is the second time that Jeff has given me his support, and I am truly indebted to him. And whilst I have the opportunity, I'd really like to thank Councillor Chung for being here, because he has left a family and a significant family event in the, I think, Perisher or somewhere like that, that's been a significant annual event, to be here tonight to support me. So thank you, and also prior to the proclamation, congratulations on your election to the City of Sydney. The election of Mayor and Deputy Mayor in the City of Ryde is never predictable. It's always close, and on several occasions in the past, as indicated by Councillor Laxell, has resulted from a draw out of the box. Looking back over the past 5 years, the Mayor has been an independent, followed by two Liberals, Councillor Maggio and myself, then a Labor Mayor, Councillor Laxell, and now myself again, another Liberal. This is extraordinary. And what is also extraordinary is that we all predicted that the previous Mayor, Councillor Laxell, would not serve a full 12-month term because of the impending amalgamation of the City of Ryde with Hunters Hill and Lane Cove councils. We were all wrong, because not only did he serve a full 12-month term, he has already managed to etch out extra time, as in 9 days, which he admitted tonight, and was heading for a 12.5-month term had the mayoral election coincided with changed timings for council meetings. The election tonight is one of history in the making, because I will have the great honour of helping to steer our city forward before an inevitable amalgamation with the two other councils. In all likelihood, this means I will have the sad honour of being the last mayor to serve at what is known as the City of Ryde Council. I promise I will do my best in the time available to me. I will focus on the things that are important to our city and continue with the work I commenced more than 12 months ago. This includes a business focus on income generation for our city, rather than a complete reliance on rates. I will continue to fine-tune community benefit policy and expand key worker accommodation, which is an initiative I implemented more than 12 months ago, to get some public return from the significant developments that are happening here in Ryde. I will continue the good work on the Civic Hub to finally head towards addressing our crumbling Civic Centre. There will also be a return to respecting the office of Mayor and the associated traditions of appropriate attire that show respect for our new citizens at citizenship ceremonies. Most importantly, councillors, I will do my best to encourage councillors to stop wasting the time of this council by engaging in motions completely outside the authority of local government. Regardless of a person's view on the constitutional monarchy versus republic debate, whether you are a supporter of traditional versus same-sex marriage, or whether you believe young women should be denied the right to participate in Festival Queen events or not, these are not matters for council. However, I certainly at this stage would like to acknowledge the previous Mayor, Councillor Laxell, for his 12 months of service, or 12 months plus service. I would also like to acknowledge the good work of former Deputy Mayor Roy Maggio, or Deputy Mayor Roy Maggio, should I say, still is. Our city is definitely the richer for his outstanding work on getting lighting and artificial turf for many of our sports grounds, among other achievements. I'm hopeful that we will see someone returned or appointed to the position of Deputy Mayor that will be able to continue with the good work of Councillor Maggio. Finally, councillors, I want to work with all of you to make Ryde the best it can be and to prepare for the inevitable amalgamation with Hunters Hill and Lane Cove. We all have a role to play in shaping the future, and our residents expect us to ensure our city will remain as a strong part of a new local government entity. Thank you. Councillors, we now move to item 3, which is the determination of office and fee of Deputy Mayor. If I can now turn to the Acting General Manager to take control of that.
So councillors, just after a mover and a seconder for this motion of item 3.
I'll move that just to make it easy. Could I have a seconder that we consider that? Councillor Stott, thank you.
Councillor Stott.
Could we therefore have a vote on this?
That's right, Mr. That's right.
The determination. Thank you. Now is the appropriate time, is it? Okay, I'll hand over to Mr. Newsom to conduct the ballot and determination of fee for Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. The item 4 is the election of Deputy Mayor. I have, as per the item 4, I just need a mover and seconder of the council, please, to adopt the method of voting, and also Part B, to appoint me as the returning officer. Could I have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Eppington, seconded by Councillor Delian. Any further discussion? Could I put that motion? Please vote. No. And so, Councillor, the method of voting, the same, open voting, show of hands? Show of hands. Thank you. Councillors, members of the gallery, I have one nomination for the position of Deputy Mayor. Councillor Jane Stott, been nominated by Councillor Pickering and Councillor Maggio. Councillor Stott, do you wish to stand for that position? Thank you. Are there any other nominations? There is one. Thanks, George. Thank you. I have a nomination for Councillor Simon. It's been nominated by Councillor Pendleton and Councillor Laxale. Councillor Simon, do you wish to stand for that position? Yes, thank you. Any further nominations? No more nominations, I declare nominations closed. And as we are now voting, show of hands, I ask all those councillors wishing to vote for Councillor Stott to please show your hand now, please. Thank you. I have Councillors Pickering, Yadelian, Stott, Maggio, Chung and Eppington, a total of 7 votes. Could I just ask all those councillors wishing to vote for Councillor Simon, please show your hand now, please. Oh, sorry, Councillor Silvestro Martin, sorry, I apologise. 3, a total of 7 votes, I apologise for that. Councillor Simon, please, for those councillors wishing to vote for Councillor Simon, please show your hands now, please. Thank you. Councillors Lee, Pendleton, no, you can't. Vote twice. Thank you. Only councillor at present needs to vote. So I have councillors Lee, Pendleton, Laxale and Simon, and I'm declaring one vote informal. So with 7 votes for Councillor Stott and 4 votes for Councillor Simon, I declare Councillor Stott Councillor's Deputy Mayor for next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newsom. So we're back to business, councillors. The first thing I wish to do is allow a suspension of standing orders. I understand one councillor at least wants to record a leave of absence, so I'll ask that councillor, as in Councillor Yedallian, to put that forward, and for councillors to vote on that.
I'm happy to second it, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Yedallian needs to indicate when he wishes to be away.
Yeah, I'd like to be away from October 10th to November 11th.
Okay.
Going overseas.
All right.
Thank you.
October. Sorry, those dates again. To November 11. Okay. Councillor Simon.
Mr Mayor, I'd also like to note leave of absence, which is in the week beginning the 26th of September till the Friday in that week. I think it's the 30th.
30th? Okay. All right. Okay, councillors, we have 2 leave of absences. That's coming up now. Can you please vote? Councillor Maggio, did you need to?
Yeah, I just want some clarification. So you're moving the...
Councillor Simon, can you please?
Just some clarification. So you haven't moved the suspension of standing orders as yet? Because that's what I've seconded. So if that is the case, you have to vote on that, and then we have to deal with that matter. But if you're doing the leave of absence, well, let's do the leave of absence first, and then do the suspension of standing
Okay,
orders.
you are
You're
correct.
out of the chair for a couple of years. You just
I know, I've been out of the chair for 12 months. Thank you.
That's okay.
Thank you, Councillor
No,
Maggio.
I'll keep you intact.
All right, could we please have a vote to allow a suspension of standing orders, please? It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Maggio. Thank you. So that's unanimous. We now go to what we preempted previously. You have 2 requests for leave of absences, one from Councillor Yedallian and one from Councillor Simon. We will have the period of those leave periods, but in the meantime, can I have someone second that, please?
Happy to move it.
You're happy to move, and Councillor Stott is happy to second. The Deputy Mayor, yes.
End of October.
Okay. Anything's possible, Councillor Simon. Okay, councillors, could we please vote on that? Unanimous. Thank you very much. I intend continuing with the suspension of standing orders now to allow some short speeches by the former Deputy Mayor, Councillor Roy Maggio, and I'd like to give the opportunity to the newly elected Deputy Mayor, Councillor Stott, basically to give a brief speech to the gallery here tonight.
Oh, thank you, Mr Mayor, and I apologise for my attire, but it's Muffy Friday. But look, I'd like to just yourself on the appointment, and Councillor Stott for being the Deputy Mayor. I'd like to congratulate Councillor Laxell for his leadership over the last 12 months. We might not have agreed with a lot of things he's done, but that's his view, and I'm happy to accept it and move on. Over the 8 years I've been here, I've enjoyed it. As a born resident of Ryde, I still enjoy serving the community. I'm very passionate in a lot of things, and I hope to bring the same passion again. I've taken 3 months off. I'm refreshed and looking for great challenges and inspiring our community to better things. So look, congratulations again. Congratulations to Councillor Chung on his not declaration, but on his appointment as City Council. He's a great advocate for the people of Ryde. It's just been a pleasure, and I'll continue serving the community with passion, with vigour, with robust, and just honest to myself as I'm honest to people. I've endured a lot of humiliation over the last 3 months, which hasn't penetrated my skin, and I can assure you I've come back stronger and better. So thank you for the opportunity, and let's just get on with the business of serving our people. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Maggio. Well said, and thank you for your service too. Councillor Stott, congratulations, and obviously we'd like to hear from you too.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, fellow councillors, Mr Acting General Manager, council staff and members of the public. Mr Mayor, once again congratulations. It's nice from our point of view to know that Ryde is now back in safe hands. For me, it's an honour to be elected Deputy Mayor. Thank you to my Liberal colleagues, and a particular thank you to Councillor Silvestro Martin for supporting me. Councillor Silvestro Martin can always be relied upon to demonstrate integrity and do what is right in the best interests of the community. I would also like to personally congratulate Councillor Chung on a great result in the City of Sydney elections, and thank Councillor Chung for making the journey back here this evening too. I'd like to pay tribute to the previous Deputy Mayor, Councillor Maggio. There is no one more enthusiastic or energetic than Councillor Maggio. He has brought his own special style to the role of Deputy Mayor, and it is not my intention to try and replicate his feats. Getting covered in mud, for example, is not on my list of things to achieve. While Councillor Maggio has in recent times become a shadow of his former self, his shoe size hasn't changed, and they are indeed big shoes to fill. Finally, I would like to thank the members of the public who have come along this evening, and to the hard-working staff who I'm sure would prefer to spend Friday evening with family and friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stott. I'd like someone now to move that we move back to or resume our normal meeting process and move out of standing orders. Thank you. So moved by Councillor Udalian, seconded by Councillor Maggio. Councillors, could you please vote on that? Thank you. Councillors, prior to discussion on the standing and advisory committees, which I don't think will take too long, I wish to do with a mayoral minute, which is now being circulated, I hope, or will appear on the screen.
If I maybe move that way.
You will move that, moved by Councillor Maggio, seconded by Councillor Udalian, was it? Oh, Councillor Stott, sorry. Yeah. Essentially, councillors, what this mayoral minute says is that it acknowledges that 3 councillors, current serving councillors, have been through a difficult period. There is information recorded, which I become aware of only recently, on our website that indicates that those actions, or some actions against those individuals, were still taking place. This is totally incorrect. I want to see justice served, and certainly in my discussions with Councillor Silvestro Martin, I can understand why he has some concerns and has been upset by the process. Essentially, as you will read there, I propose to put three recommendations to you, and one is that the City of Ryde website in relation to the ICAC investigation against former Mayor Ivan Petch and other external persons contain only the relevant information in relation to the current situation in regards to outstanding charges and any subsequent proceedings against former Mayor Ivan Petch and any other person. What I also wish to do is that put in and have a prominent acknowledgement appear on the front page of Council's website, where the information that I've just detailed above in relation to the current situation is displayed in relation to Councillors Silvestro Martin, Justin Lee and Terry Perham. And as follows, I wish to make the following comment, and that this comment be included on that website. And I will read it. The City of Ryde acknowledges that three serving councillors, Councillor Jeff Silvestro Martin, Councillor Justin Lee and Councillor Terry Perham, have been excluded from any charges whatsoever following the ICAC investigation and hearings commenced in 2012. As Mayor, I wish to personally acknowledge the personal hurt and suffering that has been caused to these three councillors and their families by the investigation process. The City of Ryde needs to move forward from this short but dark time in our history. We must look to the future with all councillors playing their role for the betterment of this city. And the last point of this motion, Part C, is that this acknowledgement also be included in media statements to the local newspapers and will be included in a Merrill column at the earliest convenience. I would like to move my Merrill minute and seconded by Councillor Maggio, please. Is there any discussion on this? I understand that, and I would suggest that perhaps the three councillors should absent themselves while the discussion takes place. Yeah, I do appreciate that. In fact, Councillor Mcginn has it. Okay, that's fine. Okay, thank you. Councillor Silvestro Martin, it's your choice. Okay. All right, councillors, is there any discussion on this minute? I think you know where this is from the heart. I think you know where I stand on this issue, having produced this Merrill minute. Councillor Mcginn.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and firstly congratulations on your appointment, and also to Councillor Stott on her appointment as Deputy Mayor, and echo everyone's sentiment. Congratulations to Councillor Chung. I also commend you for this motion because I think it's actually well overdue. I think it's been very much in the public arena that these three fellow councillors were not involved in anything that was inappropriate, and that was made quite clear, if not 6 months ago. I know it was recently, and should well have been today, but it shows great leadership on your behalf in taking that as the first initiative in your term, and I congratulate you on that regards. One point of clarification is in your Part B, where you say information detailed in A above. Are you referring to the A above of the recommendation or the A above of your commentary?
No, it's in that point A, it's the A above in the recommendation. And what that recommendation states is that basically that only relevant information that is current be recorded on the website. And that refers to relevant information in regard to the fact that there are still proceedings. So everyone needs to know that proceedings certainly against the former Mayor, Councillor Ivan Petch and others are continuing. And that obviously in terms of public interest still has to be there, but there's no reason for three councillors who have been exonerated, so as to speak, for any information in regards to that to still be present. I hope that clarifies things. Thank you. Councillor Simon.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I've got a couple of issues to take up in relation to this. The first is that sitting on the Ryde Council website is a snapshot in time of our various responses to various issues, media releases that we have put out at the time they were done. for us to kind of reach into the past and start to amend media releases and take them down and do those kinds of things, I think is actually a very uncertain precedent for us to set. I mean, I'm not sure what other things we want to reach into the past to decide that we don't no longer hold this position as a council.
My apologies, Councillor Simon, that's my phone.
You're down with all the modern tunes. So the question becomes, what else are we going to reach into to decide that at that particular point in time we're going to take down those releases? You know, there's a whole bunch of seriously controversial positions that this council has taken at some point in time. Are we going to start taking down media releases just when it suits our political interest at a certain point in time? They are a record of history. They are a snapshot in time of our response to certain issues at that period. So I do have an issue in relation to that. The second is that the process of the ICAC investigation and the subsequent decision by the New South Wales Electoral Commission and the Department of Public Prosecutions to proceed with charges or proceed with investigations is quite a complex one. The truth is that there were findings in an ICAC report against Councillor Silvestro Martin, against Councillor Terry Perriman, against Councillor Justin Lee. Those findings existed. There were recommendations made to the New South Wales Electoral Commission to run an investigation and potentially prosecute. Now, the New South Wales Electoral Commission made a decision not to prosecute. We're not actually clear on the reasons why they didn't. It may have been they couldn't meet an evidentiary burden that they needed to meet. So I don't want to give people the impression that there was no finding at ICAC in relation to these circumstances. There was, and that's what the media release reflects. And so we shouldn't... I think that the phrase you used, Mr Mayor, was judgment has passed and they've been absolved of any wrongdoing. Well, I'm not sure that's an accurate reflection of actually what the circumstance is here. What is actually the circumstance is there was a finding at ICAC to proceed with the prosecution, which subsequently the New South Wales Electoral Commission decided not to proceed. It's actually a much more complicated circumstance than that.
Councillor Simon, I really do need to bring a point of order there on the point of accuracy. In fact, the finding was not that. The situation with ICAC was that the matter be considered or taken to the Department of Public Prosecutions, because it was not the Electoral Commission at that stage, to consider whether there should be charges. There was actually no suggestion that they be actually charged with any offence. So I think for the point of accuracy that needs to be stated. But by all means, continue.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I acknowledge that the New South Wales Electoral Commission and the Department of Public Prosecutions made a decision not to proceed with charging and prosecution. There is no factual disagreement between us on that issue. Where I disagree is by going to the next step, which is to say that absolves them of any of whatever ICAC has found in relation to their circumstance. And I think they're very different things. The third problem I have with this, Mr Mayor, is the timing is very convenient. You've just had a mayoral election where one of these people has decided to vote for you. I won't speculate on whether
Councillor
those
Simon,
two things are linked.
two didn't.
I won't speculate on why those two things are linked, and I'd request, Mr Mayor, that you allow me to finish my speech before you interject. You've just had a circumstance where one of these people has voted for you. It's not for me to speculate whether this was the price for that vote, but it does smell a bit fishy, Mr Mayor, that you've gotten the vote of one of these people and all of a sudden you've decided to reach back into the past, start playing around with what we keep on our website and what we don't, when the normal practice is a media release is distributed and left on the website as a record of fact and a record of history for journalists and others to go back into. What you're proposing here is to remove that, a pretty unprecedented circumstance. It certainly hasn't happened in the 4 years that I've been on council, that we passed the resolution to remove a media release, and people would be right to ask, why are we doing that now? Why is that happening on this particular night, in this particular circumstance, when there's in this particular arrangement where one of these people has voted for you? It doesn't look very good, and people ought to be asking, what's the smell here? Because it doesn't smell very good.
Thank you, Councillor Simon. No, we have a speaker for the motion, and which was me, a speaker against. We now need another speaker for the motion. Councillor Pendleton, I only can assume that you're speaking against the motion. Am I correct?
No.
I'm not.
Yes,
You're not.
Ken,
Okay.
Not. Yes.
Thank you.
No, I'm asking some questions, please. First of all, is the intention to remove just a few of the media releases, or is there other content on the website that is going to be corrected? So first of all, is that the intention? It's removing some media releases from the period?
The intention is simply to create a website that reflects the current situation and to also record, as stated, my statement there that acknowledges the fact that three councillors have been completely, there has been no follow-on in terms of this process.
No,
they
I'm
have not been charged. Well, you're asking me the question. I'm giving you the answer. Please, Councillor Pendleton, one thing I asked you to do, please, is at least acknowledge the chair. You've asked the question. I'm giving you a response. So that is the situation. It's pure and simple. That is it.
Now, can I ask the staff, is there other information on the website other than media releases that needs to be removed? I know you're suggesting adding some information, but I'm querying what information other than media releases has to be adjusted. So it's just removing media releases.
Yeah, my understanding, Councillor, is that that the reference in this motion refers to the media releases. My understanding is the references that we've placed on our website are actually a part of media releases that the Council has issued previously. Yes.
And can I ask for an legal advice, or the advice from the the acting group manager? Are we allowed under the Act to selectively remove from previous years web media releases, and where would that leave us in terms of things like GIPA requests or anything like that? Is it legal for us to do that? Because I have great sympathies for the horrible situation the councillors found themselves in through that process, but I also want to understand whether or not we are legally able to do this and our responsibilities about information and so on.
Actually, in my opinion, I don't think it's a legal issue. It's actually a matter for Council. Council has initiated and for varying reasons taken out press releases and issued the press releases at certain times on certain issues. It's placed it on its website for the information of the community, and obviously if the Council resolves for whatever reason to adjust or remove those, it's a matter for the Council. I'd ask Mr. Kapitas just to clarify or add to those comments.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor, as long as there's a record somewhere of it, it is a public record, and anybody can request it under GIPA. As long as Council has a record of it, it is allowed.
Thank you.
No more comments, councillors? Okay, thank you. I mean, we're all aware that in recent times that media releases have been removed, including more recently a media release that was put out by the Mayor that was found to be extremely political, and there were other issues associated, potentially issues associated with potentially defamation. So, look, it has been done in the past, and there's no reason why it can't be done now. Councillors, I think that this is a fair process. I think, you know, these guys have gone through a situation. They may well regret associations. At the end of the day, they face no charges. There is nothing more that can be done in relation to this issue as far as they are concerned.
They are people who have served in public office. They deserve respect, and they don't need to keep reliving the experiences of the past. I'm sorry if that's a moral stance, but it's certainly one that I hold dear. So, councillors, I please ask you to vote on this Merrill Minute. Thank you. Thank you, councillors. That means that was carried. So if we could have the councillors return. Yeah, that's it. Welcome back, councillors, and from my perspective, you will be pleased to know that that's been passed. Okay, we now move to item 5, which is council committee meetings and the appointment of councillor members. I have actually put together a recommendation. Oh my God, I thought I'd turn that off. So if we could please have that up on the screen. Oh, okay. All right, councillors, we will deal, instead of the, if you like, the advisory committees, we'll deal with the standing committees first. That's the appropriate protocol anyway. Can I please have nominations for the Planning and Environment Committee? Oh my God. I'm on board anyway, I don't need to vote. Okay, could we please record those nominations? It's everyone, I think, except for Councillor Lee and Councillor Silvestro Martin and Councillor Perham. I'm sure these things will sort themselves as time goes on. No, I have automatic membership of all of these committees, Councillor Maggio. Yes, VIP. It's been a while since you've been mayor too. All right. Okay. There's a recommendation, now that we have the Planning and Environment Committee, we'll so there's now Works. Could I have nominations for the Works and Community Committee, please? Oh, we're doing it again, are we? Everyone, with the exception of Jeff Silvestro Martin and Councillor Yedalian. Okay. Okay, councillors, I think that's been recorded. Next, we're dealing with, there's the Finance and Governance Committee. Could we have nominations for that, please? According to my item D. You're on the ball, General Manager, but you missed that one. Okay. Essentially, what have we got here? We've got everyone again, except for Councillor Lee and Councillor Silvestro Martin. Is that okay? All right. Now we move to the Ryde Civic Hub Committee, a very important committee. Could we have nominations for that, please? You're making it very easy. Okay, councillors, everyone except for Councillor Lee and Councillor Silvestro Martin. Yeah. Okay. Righto, councillors, you have before you now series of recommendations in relation to the standing committees. I think staff have caught up with the names. So could we please have a vote? Oh, actually a mover and a seconder. I didn't realise that. Could we, moved by Councillor Maggios, seconded by, who's got their light on? Councillor Admektian. Okay. All right, councillors, could you please vote? On the recommendation for those committees and those members of that committees. That's unanimous. Okay, councillors, we'll move quickly through this next process. Advisory and external committees. There should be something on the screen that I've proposed. To quick track this process. Okay, you will see their nominations of each of the committee, the chairs of where appropriate of each of the committees, and no, they're new ones. They're new ones, and essentially we'll need to have a vote on that. And what we will also do is, after that has been voted, we'll deal with the chairs first. So we'll deal with this recommendation in seriatim. The next point will be to get nominations for each of those committees, for the others that wish to be on that. Okay, so can I have a mover for the overall recommendation, please? Councillor Maggio, seconded by Councillor Admektian. All right. Okay, councillors, I propose to do this by seriatim. There is item A, which is basically to allow, serial A, right at the top, that council endorse this continuation of the following advisory committees for a period of 12 months. Can you please vote on serial A to allow us to endorse those committees for 12 months? Thank you. Thank you. Now we move to serial B, which actually proposes specific persons as chairs to the various committees. Can I have a mover for that? Moved by Councillor Stott, seconded by Councillor Udalian. In relation to serial B, is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, Councillor.
I don't want to be on the Environment Advisory.
All right, can we please, I understand there are substitutes, so which one? Councillor Stott? For the bushland? Yep. I'm sorry, Councillor Udalian. I'm just moving through too quickly. Are there any other changes? All right, councillors, we have the chairs.
No, I have.
Councillor Maggio?
I think that in relation to some of the changes, I believe the Mayor of the Day should be on the Centenary Anzac Committee.
That's actually indicated there that the Mayor, whomever the Mayor might be, is on that committee.
No, it's not. You've got different surname there, Mr. Mayor. It should be Councillor Pickering.
Okay, for the time being, that needs to continue. If necessary, we will need to revisit that in terms of the terms of reference, so we will need to have a look at a notice of motion potentially to change that if it's necessary and if that's the desire of council. Okay, councillors, unless Councillor Maggio has anything further to say, Councillor Simon.
Can we just scroll down to the last status of the Women's Advisory Committee? Councillor Maggio. I know that Councillor Maggio is a leading day feminist, but I note that we have a woman who's currently the chair of the Women's Advisory Committee in Councillor Pendleton, and I would propose that perhaps it's appropriate that a woman continue in that role, and I would propose Councillor Pendleton.
Councillor Simon, you're quite entitled to propose that. I guess that you're foreshadowing, therefore, or stating an amendment to that.
I'm happy to second that.
So there is an amendment that has been suggested by Councillor Simon to Serial B, in that Councillor Maggio be replaced by Councillor Pendleton as chair of the Status of Women's Advisory Committee. Okay? And that has been moved by Councillor Simon and seconded by Councillor Laxell. All right, no more discussion. Okay, councillors, you have an amendment to deal with first, and that is that Councillor Pendleton chair the Status of Advisory Committee. Could I have an could you please vote on that matter? On the amendment, yes. The amendment put forward by Councillors Laxell and Simon, not necessarily in that order, to have Councillor Pendleton as the chair. Six votes all. Okay, well that's interesting. Well, I'll use my casting vote. I believe that Councillor Maggio will be the appropriate person, particularly given the issues associated with alleged conduct against women. So, Councillor Maggio, but we need to know through the first process. The amendment, therefore, is lost with the casting vote of the Mayor. We now have to deal with the motion. And the motion basically is the entire list. Councillors, could you please vote for the original motion and the entire list? Thank you. That has been passed. Congratulations on that appointment, Councillor Maggio. The next serial is Serial C. So, councillors, this is now open for anyone who wishes to nominate themselves for any of those committees to be on those committees. Do we have any other? Do we have people who wish to be councillors who wish to be on any of these committees? Any councillor can be, I guess.
Mr. Mayor, I'll seek to remain on the 6 committees that I'm currently upon.
Thank you, Councillor Perham. Do we have a list of those? Okay. Councillor Perham remains on the 6 committees that he has current membership with. Councillor Pendleton?
I also wish to remain on the committees that I'm already a member of.
Okay. Councillor Pendleton, I guess the other thing, the way to do it was, does any councillor not wish to be on any committees that they've previously been a member of? Otherwise, we'll just simply...
that steals you.
This one keeps jutting out. Okay. So it's not working. Is that the problem? Oh, okay. Thank you. Who's got the red light? Councillor Stott.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I no longer wish to be on the Status of Women's Advisory Committee.
Okay.
Because I believe Councillor Maggio will do a fabulous job there. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. If we could make a note of that. Councillor Axel.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to be part of the Community Harmony Reference Group.
Yep.
Eastwood Events and Promotions. That's Eastwood, not East Ward. Macquarie Park Forum. And the Sport and Rec Advisory Committee, please.
Okay. Could we please note that? Eastwood, not the East Ward.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, councillors. Could we please, I guess do we need to vote on that, or we can continue on? Okay. Let's move to the next part. I'm getting different items here. Part E or C or what? Okay. Well, that's what I was just suggesting. Okay. Well, let's confirm the chairs and the members of those respective committees. Please vote. Pardon me? You should be on there. You're on there. Councillor Edmekian?
Just a point of clarification, those names, if we're happy to stay on the committees,
Yeah.
but they're not appearing up there because it's just accepted.
Yeah.
they'll
Look,
be
any
included.
council. Look.
And if later we need to amend
Yeah.
it.
Look, any councillor can serve on any committee, as far as I'm concerned. Okay. That's how it's supposed to be. So, effectively, whatever committee you wish to be on, you're more than welcome. All right. Let's move then to voting, which is part C, and that's basically to confirm what we've just done. Could we please vote, councillors? In seriatim. Sorry. Mover and seconder for part C. I thought I'd moved it, and I thought it had been seconded by Councillor, or was it Councillor Stott? Please. Thank you. Sorry, that's fine. Councillor Stott and Udallion, they were the two that moved it. That's fine. Okay, please vote. Thank you. Councillors, we now come to serial D, is it? And that's there that... okay, I'm reading something different here. This is the Audit and Risk Committee. Is everyone happy with those appointments, or do they need to change? Okay. Okay, from my understanding then, was there a change? And the change is basically Councillor, an exchange between Councillor Stott and Maggio. So,
Huh?
okay, right. Okay, so the council can we take this into account, please?
Councillor Maggio can handle
Note
the risk
takers,
aspect.
that council appoint Councillor Arden Edmekian and Councillor Roy Maggio for the risk component.
Risk management.
So in other words, remove Councillor Sarkis Udallion and leave everything else as recorded. Could I have a mover and seconder for that, please? Moved by Councillor Edmekian, seconded by Councillor Stott. Can we please vote on that, please, councillors? Thank you, that's been carried. We now move to the next serial, which is serial E, according to my instructions here. Hang on, yeah, Nesrock. Okay, I wish to make a change to that. Councillor Maggio in the second point be removed and replaced with Councillor Yedalian OAM. Okay. All right, that's Nesrock. Yep. Okay. Yeah, we'll change. Craig won't be there. Could we have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Maggio, seconded by Councillor Stott. Councillors, can we please vote on that? Okay, thank you. We come to the final serial here, which I think the members of the gallery are very keen to see happen, and that is the appointment of delegates to the Joint Regional Planning Panel. Councillor Chung has asked to be replaced with Councillor Maggio. So Councillor Yedalian and Councillor Maggio as councillors delegates to the Joint Regional Planning Panel, and that Councillors Artin Admikjian and Jane Stott be the alternate delegates. Okay, moved by Councillor Stott, seconded by Councillor Maggio. Is there any other discussion? There being no discussion, councillors, please vote. Okay, that's carried. Councillors, that means that that entire serial, the chairs and committees have been done extremely quickly and very effectively. Let's move now. We have one last item that I've just been made aware of, and that is the Local Government Annual Conference. We do need now to review the attendees. Can you please look at item 7 on your agenda? We have some names there. And obviously I'll need people to...
Mr. Mayor, could you remove my name, please?
Your hand, okay, sorry, Councillor Laxell. Okay, those that wish, please, those who wish to attend, there is no problems with anyone who wishes to attend. Please put your hand up. That's probably the easiest way to deal with it. Okay. I don't think the TWT would want to attend, but there's Councillor Simon, Councillor Laxell, and myself. The problem I have is that, and my wife's in the gallery here, she's booked us on a on a tour. I'm actually going to be absent, so I will require, if the Deputy Mayor's available, to represent us. But at this stage, if that's possible, Councillor Stott, if you can't do it, you can't do it. I understand.
Mr. Mayor, I do have to apply for
Leave.
employment, and until I have confirmation that leave
Sure.
has been given,
All right.
I am not in a position.
I understand. Okay, well, the way I'll word this then is that Councillors Simon and Laxell are approved as delegates, with the Deputy Mayor to confirm her availability. Are we all happy with that in relation to that issue? No. I think that there's been a problem with clashes over a few.
Mr Mayor.
Councillor Simon has the call. Okay, so you're moving that, Councillor Maggio. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Admekchian? Looks like the two Labor councillors might be on their own. That's a great representation for the City of Ryde. Okay, councillors, could we please vote? Maggio and Admekchian, I think. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay, councillors, please vote. You did? That's very good. Thank you very much. And councillors, that's probably one of the quicker meetings that we've had. We now need to move to the next part, which is the National Anthem. So everyone please see, this will be the last time in this chamber. So please enjoy the National Anthem. Councillors, ladies and gentlemen, you're more than welcome to come to the Merrill Suite and partake in, the celebrations, or in some cases, perhaps not so celebratory occasions. Thank you. Everyone's voted. Well, okay. All right.